And here
I'm
we
not
are.
sure who's up, but there is a lot to be said about Blue-White Delver in this matchup, I think. The opponent, Jason Black, only has 4 Slagstorms and does not have Whip Flare's main, which really, I think, heavily influences the matchup. Whip Flare, a very huge card against the Blue-White Delver decks before, but not in the main deck for Jason Black.
Right, so what we do have, though, Jason Black nonetheless being able to take the first game. So moving to the sideboards in this matchup, Blake tends to go a little. He is able to put in sort of Feast and Famine and Flash Freeze for the matchup, and sometimes maybe even Phantasmal Images, a couple of the Titans that his opponent plays.
I see Ancient Grudge as a great weapon against the 5 equipment in Blake's deck. Blake's
deck was very heavy on equipment. Blake playing one of your classical Delver, which has 7 equipment in the main, I believe, or 5 equipment in the main, 7 hexproof creatures. So in that matchup, yes, Ancient Grudge is probably one of Jason's better weapons. So we're off to a very quick start here. Invisible Stalker for Blake. Blake appears to have mulliganed to 6 cards. Yeah, he only has 4 cards left, so yes, he's on a mulligan to 6 on the play.
Yes.
Stalker, he also has he has kept in Sword of War and Peace. Possibly he's just if he probably switched his pikes for Feast and Famines. It's now a check on Jason to see whether there's a grudge, and no grudge comes from Jason, so this could get very brutal for him.
It is possible that Slagstorm, there we go.
There we are.
It's a nice little save for that for now.
So counter spells, just 1 mana leak. All right, Geist of St. Traff.
And a Seachrome Coast. Yep.
Yeah. Now at that point, do you make that play there, or do you wait in case there's another Slagstorm in his hand? Do you wait so you can
I would just play it.
All right.
What would you do?
Because they don't have another land, I think the correct play is to play it. Were that gut shot a 5th land, I think I would wait the turn. But
Solemn Simulacrum.
Yeah, I think it's too. There was a risk here, and he didn't have the other Slagstorm, so he's doing just fine. Still, though, Geist with Sword on it may not be enough to race what's probably a Titan next turn from Jason Black.
I'm pretty disappointed in seeing that gut shot after board. I don't know if that's a card I would want to have after board.
Black is playing 2 Zeniths and 1 Birds of Paradise, but I'm not a large fan myself.
I just don't think it's the way I'd want to go. Equip. Attack.
And swings.
Makes an angel.
Jason will take the free card. And the 4 damage, I believe. So with a mana leak and a gut shot in Blake's hand, it looks like he may be able to take this game.
And we're waiting to see, will Jason Black put anything new on the table in order to reclaim
Well, I think he'll try. My guess is that it probably won't make it all the way to the table. Alright, so on 6 mana, we have just another Rampant Growth. It's possible if he has a Hunt Master, well, that won't really do much. Well, it'll give him a turn of chump blocking, but Geist with Sword on it presents quite a clock.
An argument for the gut shot is that it stops an Inkmoth Nexus from blocking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I like that argument, but
remember that is relevant. The card actually, especially on the board here, the card probably is not a dead card.
Untap the Geist of St. Traft.
And a Stalker for Blake.
Oh boy, that's a nice card to sandbag right now. He can sit behind his Moorland Haunt.
Right. And as you were saying, yeah.
This seems like a nice moment to actually just gut shot that thing.
Yeah.
There we go.
Does, right.
And no other Inky, is that correct?
I do not believe so. I don't see one. It's under the Wolf Run, but doesn't appear to be an Inkmoth.
So that's going to be a hit there for 8 plus the hand, knocking Jason to a much lower life total.
Probably, yeah. I think hand is at least 3 cards, probably knocking down Jason to 1 angel away from being dead here.
And Tsubasa Seki walked by just a few minutes ago and flashed us a very sad face from his match.
Yeah.
Once again, United players, If you would like to
Jason Black picks it all
picks it
up.
up.
He's like, I got nothing. That's all we got. On to game 3 between Jason Black and Blake Hurdle.
If you'd like to save yourself some sleep tomorrow, go ahead and pre-register. Come on up.
For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Matthias Hunt, and we have come all the way from the sunny, warm Midwest to the cold area of Sacramento, California. I'm not sure how you people in California can handle all this cold, but where we're from, it's a lot warmer.
So, so the thing you note about this matchup is that these two players were, before they were paired up this round, were the top two tiebreakers at one loss. So it is very likely that the winner of this match will be able to draw into the top 8 next round.
Absolutely. I mean, and if these players were to get an unintentional draw, which we wouldn't want them to have, but if it were to happen, they still could fight in next round with a win and be pretty well in the standings to be worth considering for a possible 7th, 8th place, though they might get more of a 9th, 10th, 11th, who knows. That's a many ifs going on there.
There's a lot of ifs going on, but I do think it's fairly safe that the winner of this will have, for the most, especially with Seki's loss there, will have pretty much secured themselves a top 8 spot.
Yeah. With Seki losing, I mean, I felt kind of bad. Like his sad face he had while we were talking about that match, it was pretty compelling.
Yeah. So still an interesting choice. Now, do we know if any of the players they appear to be going to their sideboards again? If any of them are re-sideboarding?
Well, I mean, one of the things, it's possible after seeing... we did not see the first match, or the first game.
Right.
So it could be that he didn't know that there was an equipment package going on, or didn't, because if you see it, you might think you're playing in Spirit Delver, depending on how the match plays out.
Right.
So you might not know that he's actually a classic Delver with pikes and such.
So then what are the tells? Say you're playing a tournament. What are the tells that would let you know whether or not your opponent is on Spirit Delver or Blue-White Delver?
Well, I mean, Evolving Wilds is one of the ones that I would point to as being more subtle. And then besides that, there are the obvious ones like black producing lands.
Right.
But even without going there, anything that points towards black is a potential thing to be paying attention to.
On the other hand, cards like Geist of St. Traft point you back toward traditional Delver. That's that card's not played
that
in
is
Spirit
also
Delver.
the case.
And in fact, a Geist of St. Traft should generally, even if it's out of a deck splashing black, should probably point you towards some sort of equipment.
That's true as well. The game I'm imagining, if he didn't bring in the artifact kill in the first place, was a Delver Snapcaster game.
Right.
Okay, we see the game has started underway. We've got a rampant growth on turn 2 from Jason Black. Nothing on the table yet for Blake Hurdle.
Blake has Blake, though, has the kind of hand that's very terrifying out of Delver. He has a Geist of St. Traft and 2 Vapor Snags in his hand. I do not see if he has the 3rd land to cast them, but at this point, he has to be worried about a Slag Storm back from Black, which, because Black didn't have much action early on, is probably the case.
Yep, there's a Geist.
And at this point, Blake's really probably is hoping if this Geist can live, this game looks very good for him.
Jason Black here on the left lays a 5th mana.
Jason will have none of that and will Slag Storm away the Geist.
Slag Storm. Dead Geist.
Yeah, the only other creature in Blake's hand is a Snapcaster Mage. And he doesn't actually have very much counter magic, so it's possible here that...
Is that a Moorland Haunt?
That is a Moorland Haunt.
So,
okay, so now he has another creature.
There's a creature. The young Blake Hurdle here, sitting behind the illusion of counter magic.
The illusion of counter magic has Thrun, cannot be countered.
Counter this, Blake.
Or Vapor Snagged, so it's possible that he had the answer to the Geist of St. Traft all along.
You know what's kind of funny is the idea of the Geist of St. Traft having a ghost of its own.
Mm-hmm. It hangs out in churches, it meets up with angels.
In for one, a big one. That is the first blood in this game. Flash Freeze hanging out.
Yes, and Snapcaster Mage, so while Thrun will be a problem, Jason may have trouble resolving spells that are not Thrun.
Right. I see Vapor Snag, Snapcaster, Flash Freeze.
Two Vapor Snags.
Two Vapor Snags. So there's one card we don't know in his hand. Here's the 6 mana Summon
Snap
Flash
counter.
Freeze.
Yes.
No.
No. And we'll be hearing that many more times over the next few turns.
Right.
But Jason probably still in the lead, as Blake has no real way to put pressure on. Like, once again, that getting rid of that Geist, very relevant. And Jason has drawn, he's drawn Huntmaster of the Fowls, which is surprisingly good against, will probably draw a Snapcaster and a Flash Freeze.
I would do it. I mean, honestly.
If your other choice is Vapor Snagging it, which is not a choice, it's not actually a choice. So.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I mean, you could double Vapor Snag and just be like,
oh my,
take some damage.
No, and he does. Huntmaster does.
There we go.
Which now, though, gives rise to, say, an Inferno Titan that Jason might be able to play, though he only has 2.
All it'll take, though. Some
One,
useful equipment. Oh, what is this? If there is no Ancient Grudge in Jason's hand,
then this freshly drawn sword is very relevant here. And he says it's fine. And he's going to, in response, he doesn't seem to have the grudge, as he instead opted to cast Galvanic Blast on the Spirit token, which does make me wonder why. I feel like Blake should probably be equipping to the Snapcaster mage and not the Spirit token, because if the at this point, he only gets 1 creature, whereas if the Snapcaster dies, he gets another thing to Moorland Haunt. Blake opts to represent a counterspell. And is that a grudge in Jason Black's hand?
I cannot tell.
I believe I've seen an Ancient Grudge in his hand, which would be fabulous if it's what he does have.
Or it would be terrible. Whose side are you on?
Well, if he does, I think he should grudge now, because the last thing he'd like is his grudge to get dissipated.
Absolutely. Oh,
now,
and he untaps.
That's not actually a concern, as there is no dissipate in Blake's 75.
But this is a case of end of your turnitis.
Yes, sometimes not every instant needs to be played on the end step. And he does have the Ancient Grudge. The first thing he knows says, I have the grudge. Grudge and Green Sun's in it, so he has potential Primeval Titan and the Ancient Grudge. Right, and that's going to get mana leaked, though not to much effect, really. So apparently won't draw the mana leak at all as a result.
He sits back on that Snapcaster.
Which that seems fair.
I mean, I guess his life total has dwindled to such a degree that
Blake's
can go block and then snap. Oh, just lets it die.
And this is one of the scary parts about Delver, is that when it gets behind, it has a lot of trouble getting back in the game. You know, if you think about what card would Blake draw? If Blake could Vampire Tutor every turn, what card would he draw here?
Phantasmal Image?
Phantasmal Image? Is it in... Yeah, okay, so you draw an image. But outside of 2 images...
No, just 1 image, just 1.
No, outside of the 2 images in his deck, there aren't many top decks that actually do anything right now. And he's attempting to Zenith for Huntmaster of the Fowls, which will...
It'll tap out Jason.
So... But it also taps out Blake to the point where Blake can't make a Moorland Haunt token this turn. And this looks very strong for Jason.
He's like, are you sure that mana leak didn't work?
No,
didn't it work? Oh, come on. Come on, buddy. And we see the Huntmaster come down. I love Innistrad. I think Innistrad's great. But there is still something about the aesthetics of the flip cards that skeeves me out a little bit.
Yeah, whenever I play flip cards, I don't actually play with the checklist cards, just because I like my Magic cards to feel like Magic cards in an aesthetic sense.
And there's the Huntmaster joined by a wolf.
A wolf. And really, Blake down to probably what's his... Well, the 2 Vapor Sanks is not his last turn. Ponder, desperately looking for another Ponder, a Delver, and a land. That'll probably elicit. Well,
do you Ponder again, or do you shuffle?
Do you Ponder again? It's a pretty free.
It's the he's tight on mana. I don't know if it's free.
I don't think I like. Delver isn't really what I'm looking for here, but. So if his opponent, Jason Black probably just turns the entire team sideways.
Let me see your graveyard, in case you have a Snapcaster Mage.
No, you do not. Well, you have whatever you'd want in your graveyard. Opts not to swing Huntmaster, probably because he doesn't want Snapcaster Gutshot killing his Huntmaster.
Right.
Which right now Jason's far enough ahead that he definitely has the luxury to play around that.
Is that during combat?
Jason goes to 19. Blake drops to
end of turn.
6.
Flip. Delver flips. Ponder. Shuffle.
I mean, the bigger issue is that with Blake now at 2, he's going to have to make sure that Huntmaster of the Fells never flips for the remainder of the game, which is that's hard to do.
And the top deck is
Seachrome Coast.
Not
probably
exciting.
Not going to be enough.
Now he's in a position where he is forced to chump block the Thrun, bounce the Wolf, and then
and Jason will make this easier for him as Jason just drew an Inferno Titan.
Magic player David Martinez. David Martinez, come on up to the main event stage.
Attacks. Block.
As expected, block pop with the Vapor Snag.
And probably will just slam the Titan down.
And kill you?
No, he's gonna just take a save with the Huntmaster. Inferno Titan, and that gets a concession.
Kill you.
Jason Black defeats Blake Hurdle in 3 games, which puts our top, right now we have 3 tickets already punched to the top 8. We have, from last round, our 2 undefeateds, we have Connor McCormack and Vishal Desai, so a Black-Red Zombies player and a Frights player. We now have Jason Black running Red-Green Wolf Run Ramp, who at X1 we believe is pretty much a certainty to make top 8. And more to come.
Okay, there's only a few minutes left in this round. I believe we don't have anything else on deck. So this was the last, the penultimate round. The penultimate round of this 9-round Swiss. Next round, we're going to have round 9, where the players will be playing to try to make our top 8 and etch themselves into Star City Games live history. So make sure you stick around. We're going to take a few-minute break, come right back, and we'll be bringing you more SCG live. Here, I'm Adrian Sullivan.
And I'm Matthias Hunt.
See you soon. And it looks like we're going to see an Esper control list fighting against the Frights.
And Esper Control is one of the hardest matchups for Frights. Anything that can basically answer, there's a very good chance that they can just simply. The problem is with the Mythic Rares, the thing cards they're reanimating is that Control can, by and large, okay, I say, wow, that's really fantastic that you reanimated Elish Norn. Now I'm going to Doomblade it. So we see the tags on top are switched. The Frights deck's the one on the left, and the Esper Control is the one on the right. So we'll get to that in a second. So the Birds of Paradise is out of the Frights deck. So yeah, the names are switched. That's Vishal is on the left, Wesley is on the right. And what's he responds with a Ratchet Bomb. Ratchet Bomb here, for the most part, the backup plan of the Frights deck is to essentially be a ramp deck with 9 Mana Dorks and a bunch of Mythic Rares. So the Ratchet Bomb is best played as probably just ticking up and killing the Birds of Paradise will be the best use for it. A mulch really doesn't matter how many cards he gets off it in most situations, but he did put a Faithless Looting in the yard is what he wants to do. Okay, names now are correct, so Vishal binning a Wormcoil Engine and a Faithless Looting, so he has the potential to Unburial Rites as early as next turn.
So a question I have for you is Wesley Martin's Esper control deck enough of a control deck to give his opponent a hard time?
Well, he's... it certainly is a better matchup than blue-black, and he should be really happy that he's not playing against blue-black right now. The question is can Wesley simply sit back, let Vishal wave his hands all he wants to, and then just kill everything he does? The best finisher is Wormcoil, because Wormcoil is the hardest to answer, but Wesley is playing some number of Oblivion. He's playing 2 Oblivion Rings, 3 Day of Judgments. These are for removal.
Wesley ups his Ratchet Bomb at end of turn and then blows it to kill the Bird of Paradise.
Which is probably correct. The Ratchet Bomb really won't get much other value in this matchup. So 2 Oblivion Ring, 3 Day of Judgment, 3 Mana Leak, 1 Tragic Slip, 1 Guess Verdict, 1 Doomblade, 1 Go for the Throat. It's borderlining on the right amount of removal. I still think Wesley has a good edge to just sit back and let Vishal do whatever he wants. Lingering Souls is the other issue. Frights can bait out these Day of Judgments by simply saying, I'm going to attack you with 2 spirits, or maybe 4 spirits, and that, in a way, becomes a must-counter card.
We have another bird. And an elf.
Well, now that the Ratchet Bomb clear, it's time to start casting these things.
Now remember, because of the actual threats that Vishal has, if he has a land next turn, he could just cast an Inferno Titan, theoretically. And that stops that possibility from being around.
Yeah, Mana Leak on the elves, I'm not sure I particularly like that play. Mana Leak can get so much more value.
And actually, with a land from Vishal, he can potentially play the 6-drop again naturally. But a Tragic Slip keeps it a turn away.
Well, Wesley's aggressively attacking the mana creatures, which, depending on his hand, it may be, if Wesley can build up to, say, Consecrated Sphinx, of which he is playing just 1. But if he has, depending on what his hand, if he can just land a Consecrated Sphinx, that should get the game in check. But he needs to be careful about using his hard removal on things that aren't hard threats.
Is that a mulch? 1 land, 2 land, and then a Elish Norn to the yard with a mulch as well.
So the card that most Wesley wants to make sure has to fight against or is scared of is Unburial Rites. Because essentially, every time he draws an Unburial, he mills an Unburial Rites, it's like he drew another card or another must-counter threat.
Linger.
Now, Vishal is going to try to have more Mythic Rares than Wesley has removal for him. And Unburial Rites counts as 2 Mythic Rares.
A pass from Wesley with no land.
No land is good for Vishal here.
No second red for Vishal, so there's not a threat of an Inferno Titan yet. In for 2.
Inferno Titan is probably the finisher he least wants here.
It's still a finisher.
It's still a finisher, like I said, yeah.
Still a question. I think he's going to cast a Tracker's Instincts.
Tracker's Instinct seems like an excellent play right now.
No, maybe not.
An Absence Pilgrim, probably just to, like, what Vishal might do is simply attack for 3 every turn until Wesley proves he can do something about it.
There's a Ratchet Bomb.
That is something to do about it.
Now, Vishal can cast a Elish Norn off of the mana he has now.
It's likely he'd want to make his opponent use the Ratchet Bomb first.
Another mana from Vishal.
These matchups typically end when the control deck wins is that the Frights player will actually almost mill themselves. We don't have actually any Nephalia Drown Yards out of Wesley, so Wesley will probably have to win the game legitimately as a result.
Vishal spending some mana here. 6 mana? Wormcoil, that's a great
Snap
card.
Mana Leak.
Oh, there we go. Goodbye, Mana Leak.
Yes.
And leaves the Ratchet Bomb on 0.
Now Vishal opting not to attack with the Avacyn's Pilgrim. Seems like he just missed the play on it. One of the things that Vishal can try to do is when he had the Pilgrim and Wormcoil there, he can try to build up to 9 mana, because then, once again, he's trying to get more Mythic Rares than Wesley can answer, and by negating Mana Leak as an answer, Vishal can potentially pull himself ahead. So he probably will want to wait on his 3 drops here
Flashback
until he has enough. Flashing back Tracker.
There we go. Let's see what we can find.
And
Unburial Rites
are
times
excellent
2.
to find.
It's a whiff, but that's 2 cards to the yard that he can
Not
cast.
actually a whiff. So
That's
rather
a whiff
than
on the
going,
Tracker's Instinct.
right, yeah. Well,
2 cards to the yard, though. That's 2 more cards
It's-
he can cast.
it's only a whiff in the technical sense
Yes,
of the term.
yes,
It's a
yes.
hit.
Yeah, hence
Um,
my...
sorry,
hence,
yeah.
hence the verbatim of my statements.
Yeah. He probably will wait. I would wait at least.
Wait to double threat.
Yeah.
Goes for it right now.
He only needs 4
One-
mana,
yeah,
so he's
that's,
over tapping here.
1, 2. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Okay, no, we figured it out.
Unburial
Going for,
my
I think an
Elishnorn.
Elishnorn.
This guy right here.
And Wesley starting. He has to keep. Basically, you have to keep smashing into the counter spells until you hope that they run out of them.
And it works.
It works.
That's
Now here
9.
they come.
My prediction: Wesley is going to end of the turn Forbidden Alchemy, and then try to
For a day.
day.
Well, the Ratchet Bomb. So let's see. In fact, he may
Oh,
not want
no
to.
alchemy.
He
Even.
may not want to end of turn alchemy. He'd probably alchemy if he didn't have the day already. He'd probably alchemy first to see if he
to
should
see
crack
if he should
Ratchet
day.
Bomb.
No Ratchet Bomb. Yeah. Good point. There's the day.
So there is some risk in playing all those threats out on the board at one time. I guess now that he's tapped out, it's almost certainly best. Well, normally you'd reanimate a Wormcoil here. Wormcoil is your best weapon against control. The Ratchet Bomb on the table makes it a little bit of a push because the Ratchet Bomb deals with the tokens.
Now, I'm not sure if Elishnorn is, a guy or a girl, but it's one heck of a pretty person to put out and play. Oh, Wormcoil.
It is still
That's pretty
Wormcoil.
Bella there for us. Look at that.
Fortunately,
Boom.
yeah. Fortunately, the Ratchet Bomb takes care of it if he has a kill spell.
Knocking away 2 for 1 after 2 for 1 is basically Vishal's plan here.
Right.
The silent stage. Again, players, Commander Pod number 2.
Wesley Martin is sitting on a Batter Skull. Unfortunately,
Not
Dark Six
so exciting.
Shores comes into play tapped. But he actually has 1 life to spare, which is very
1 life
relevant.
is very, very relevant.
Yeah. Batter Skull can buy him another turn just on a chump block, gaining 4.
I can't, with the flipping of cards that Wesley's doing, I can't quite make out what he's got going on.
I know he has a Batter Skull. I was not able to make out anything else.
For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Matthias Hunt. We're at round 5 of the Star City Games Open Series here in Sacramento. Faithless looting. Looking for the knockout punch.
If he can get another Unburial Rites, he can try to just kill him with an Elishnorn, I suppose.
Land and something. I couldn't make out the other card.
Probably there's enough blanks that will. Maybe it's just probably another blank.
Cast
Casting-
Elishnorn.
Going
Does
for
that
the kill?
work?
If he has nothing, that should be game.
Please find your seat.
I feel like that's I've got nothing.
That is the read. I would agree that the read is I also. Boy, this Day of Judgment doesn't answer it, or whatever he has.
Verdict.
And we have Snapcaster
Oh.
for. Now, why do you suppose the Snapcaster did not mana leak? Oh, very, very clever. So, giving himself that opportunity, and then
He can day the whole table away.
well, yeah, the option was that a much stronger play than just Snapcaster mana leak there, actually.
Day. I betcha.
And it's another day.
Foil day. Que bella.
Maybe a little aggressive on Vishal's part to try to win on that turn. It depends if he has no other plays, it's still probably correct. But this kind of exemplifies one of the difficulties that Frights have with control decks. They actually can just answer everything you do.
There is a Faithless Looting ×2, I believe, in the yard for Vishal.
Yeah, what Vishal needs to hope is that Wesley doesn't get a Consecrated Sphinx. Vishal, no matter how much card advantage you have, you still essentially can only play 1 Mythic threat a turn in this deck. So if Wesley has the ability to draw extra cards or to basically get extra answers per turn, it's very hard for Vishal to come back from it.
players in Command Pod number 2, never mind.
Faithless Looting is, looks like it's discarded.
Also, this is your
Leaves
last
an Unburial Rights open for Vishal. He's going here for Inferno Titan, it looks like.
But not having any of it.
Negate,
And Llanowar Elves.
Yep, our Mana Leak, and then Llanowar Elf is the last card.
And Wesley does have a Batter Skull, which will probably get run out at this point.
Now look at this situation here, right? Like, I believe that Vishal's graveyard has one Faithless Looting and no other flashback cards. I could be wrong about that, but I think that that's the case. And he's facing down now a Batter Skull with an empty hand and just that Faithless Looting to help make him have something happen. I think he just drew an Elishnorn, though. I might have seen it wrong, but I think that might have been an Elishnorn.
That would be very strong. Hopefully. This is what the board state starts to look like usually when Control's winning, once Vishal runs out of cards. Elishnorn obviously would be a great way to try to steal this game back. Let's see what he drew.
Attention Magic players, those of you who may have not heard the first time,
4,
the herring is for the second
5,
round of the Modern Challenge.
Making sure he's getting the double white, it does look like an Elishnorn.
Players, these herrings for round 2
6,
of the
7.
Modern Challenge have been posted. Please find your seats.
So now the Llanowar Elves is a 3-3.
Elishnorn, 3-3 versus 2-2.
What's likely is that if Wesley gets an 8th land, he can Ratchet Bomb to kill the Llanowar Elves, and then use 8 mana to essentially Maze of Ith with his Batter Skull every turn, until he draws some way to deal with the Elishnorn.
And there are turns that he won't have to do that either, because...
he might draw something...
Well, I'm just going to think, like, if he draws nothing, but he has, like, that... only the 7 mana, he'll go up to 11 with the first block. Or not 11, 9. I rescind
9.
my... Well, it's still actually going to be a fair. 9 with the first one.
He
Did
can
just
afford to take
Faithless
some
Looting? Oh, Lingering Souls.
Okay, so he did have the Souls there. Now that I didn't notice that certainly...
The Ratchet Bomb...
Well, it forces the Ratchet Bomb.
Forces the Ratchet Bomb. But, I mean, the bomb will also kill his Germ.
So, what's likely is that Wesley probably should have blocked the Llanowar Elves there in anticipation of Lingering Souls being cast.
Absolutely.
Now he could be he should be at 9, but now so it cost him 5 life points there, which we'll see. Which unfortunately makes an Elishnorn swing lethal now.
Yeah, he can block the Elishnorn and then blow the Ratchet Bomb, but in order to stay alive. But it still knocks him to 1.
Right, because he won't get the life gain then.
You notice he uses a Ghost Quarter on his own land there in the desperate attempt to thin out the library. O-Ring.
On the Elishnorn.
That is a good card to have drawn.
Very much. That should...
Boom, in for 4. Returning this to his side of the game.
Definitely.
Wow.
It's a very hard matchup for Frights because so many of the cards in Esper actually can... The monsters aren't big enough, for example. Sometimes after post-board, if the Frights player will try to... Well, he actually does not have... He's playing a transformational sideboard with Strangleroot Geist and Thrun the last troll. Typically, people will try to side in things like Jin-Gitaxias or other fatties, but he has no different finishers in his board. He will... So... He needs about... There's a lot of things that Vishal needs to pull back into this.
Now remember, there still is a Faithless Looting in Vishal's yard, I believe, so he can dig a little bit further if he needs to.
With the
Let's do a quick check and see if we see it there. There it is, I believe. That might be an Inferno Titan, but I think it's a Looting. Looks like looting mana.
Yeah. Despite being a great deck at the Pro Tour, Frights really took a hit when blue-black and blue Esper control really surged back up into popularity. These are the matchups you're trying to avoid.
And let's see what we get out of this. He's got... Still got... He's playing 5-card Monty with his lands. Okay.
I think he's what would be great is if he could draw into a Worm Coil Engine here. Would probably be pretty good.
He's got to find a way to deal with this recurring life gain that's going on. So I think Worm Coil would be really great.
Here we go. Loot, loot, loot. 2 cards of some kind. Can't see what they are. Discarding a land in something, I think. Off camera, I can't see what was discarded.
Yeah, probably more lands or maybe more mana dorks. Not much more action to Vishal this turn. He's content to swing 2. He's gonna mulch.
Mulch. That's actually potentially really good. What do we get? In this case, is that a Tracker's Instinct?
It's Trackers, so it's something he can do something
with. It
with.
got him one useful thing and then 2 lands, it looked like.
Yep. And Think Twice on Step by Wesley Martin, trying to really close it out with, if you can get just a couple more generic answers, he'd probably be able to close this out.
It looked like Vishal was thinking about blocking for a second, but it's way before that stage is necessary.
Yeah.
Come on up to the stage.
There was an attack in there, I assume. I didn't see it.
He did. He pushed forward an attack.
Okay. So he's at 10 then?